I am a huge fan of those Fender Tonemaster series of amps. And this Fender Tonemaster Pro is basically the brain of those amps and a bunch of other stuff. So, pairing this with the Fender FR-12 powered cab should mean we get a load of Tonemaster amps, plus effects, and everything you need? I don't know, because I only got it yesterday afternoon and I've stayed up all night playing with it. So, straight to some sounds, because that's probably the first thing you want to know. If it doesn't sound good, then I might as well just throw it out the window. Being a Fender product, it unsurprisingly does a good job of that slightly driven country sound, but the Tonemaster Pro also has Eddie Van Halen amps in here. Let's see how it does with high gain. That was immense fun, and it sounds huge and cavernous in this room through that FR-12. But this wouldn't be a Fender product video if I didn't do some burning, dancing in a slow room. To be fair, if it didn't do that sort of tone well, Fender might as well stop now. I think it absolutely nailed that tone. It's extremely dynamic. I'm looking here at the FR-12. I should be looking down there at the Tonemaster Pro. But I want to know if it does British rock. There's a preset in here. Let's plug in an SG style guitar. Okay, that's the first preset that I'm not entirely convinced by, and being presets, these things can often be slightly overcooked on the gain, and they definitely need a bit of tweaking. I haven't tweaked anything so far, so I'm going to come back to that later and try and get a better martially British tone, but I'm into my Blink-182 at the moment, so let's see if it does the dual rectifier well. Again, really big, really thick, but also clear. And those chunker chunks are really fun. And that is often where a modeling system lets me down, because I like plugging in a Boss DS1 and getting those Nirvana style sort of percussive hits. But this is doing it extremely well. All right, one more, I think. Now, if you're listening on headphones or good stereo speakers, and I hope you are, but I'm pretty sure that most of you are listening on your phones, hello, you'll hear that that was a massive stereo wide field. And that was that tremolo just bouncing around. And I'm recording all of the sounds, by the way, via USB into my MacBook into Logic. I didn't want to mic this up. I didn't want to take an XLR out of that, although I could have. But doing it USB means that I can really get I think the best sounds, and as the unit is intended. So I'm monitoring it through this, and I have actually changed some of the settings on top. The controls on top of the FR-12 are volume, treble, middle, bass, and cut. And what this cut does is cut off some of the top end. And that takes away some of that, I want to say digital fizz, for want of a better term. But I love that you've got this instant controls. It's not just a powered speaker. It's a 1000-watt Class D FR speaker, but with controls, and I love that bit. So I said I wanted to build some rock patch from scratch. Look how many presets you can put in here. 504 presets. So let's just pick that one. It's empty. I'm going to press here on the touch screen. I'm going to add an amp. Then I'm going to confirm that. I now have a British amp. Right, I'm going to edit that amp by clicking on the amp, and then I can either adjust the knobs just here, look at that, or I can do it on screen. That's brilliant. Right, gain, let's put the gain to about 15. A little bit too much presence or too much highs somewhere. In fact, let's switch to the SG. Right, I need to add a reverb on there before I do anything else. Let's just click anywhere to get out of that. Let's get a reverb just here by pressing that plus button. And I want to go effects, reverb. And then we'll add, lots of reverbs in here. Let's go for, hang on there. Let's go for a cloud reverb? No, a small hall. I think I chose the wrong reverb, so I'm going to change it. Let's go out of it by pressing somewhere. I'm going to drag that to the trash can, to the bin, and then add another one. Let's just put, where is it? Effects. Oh, it just said coming soon. Oh, I should point out that as soon as I turned this thing on, it really, really wanted me to update the firmware, which of course I couldn't do because the thing's not the thing. The Tonemaster Pro, is not live yet. It's not available, so the website's not there, and Fender didn't send me the updated firmware. That means I have to do a follow-up video at some point for sure. So I will update the firmware as soon as I can, which is not today. Anyway, let's add that reverb. Effects, reverb. And I thought I pressed small hall. Let's just go for a 65 spring reverb, shall we? And see what sort of effects that's got. Oh, it is actually a 65 spring reverb. It's weird seeing the real name on here. Honestly, I'm still not 100% convinced by that JCM 800 sound, so I'm going to change to a plexi. Come out of there by pressing anywhere that isn't the reverb, press the amp, and I actually don't know. Oh yeah, I can go into, no. How do I change the amp? Replace? Yes, right. Combo amps, no. Let's go amp heads, British plexi, confirm. Should I have added a cabinet maybe? Yeah, I should have. Hang on. We're going to move that there. No, I'm going to add something. I'm going to add a cabinet, and it's going to be, I want a green. Let's add the vintage V30 from Friedman, which is, I hope Friedman. I'm going to put that after the cab. See how that sounds. Still not convinced. Maybe it needs an EQ. Can I EQ the thing? Yes. Right. Alright, I'll admit I was playing that for quite a while. I've decided to cut it out just for the sake of brevity. One of the first parts of the review is that I'm getting lost in the sounds. And when I get lost in some pedal or some guitar or some amp, it normally means I like it. And I have to say that even though it took me a while, but I think I've now got something crunchy and Britishy that I like, and I would like to work on it a little bit more, but I'm getting lost in it. And that is a good sign. Fender, so far, well done. I've hardly even scratched the surface of what this thing can do. So let's talk about the different types of connections and the things it can do and the things it can't do. All the way on the left are two inputs, one for an instrument such as your guitar or a bass, and the top one is a line or mic combo XLR. And in that intro track, I actually connected a mic and I created a preset and sang through it, and it was really easy to use and wonderful. So using that, I could power my vocals and I could power my guitar in my live band. I could also send those to 2 different destinations because we've got 2 outputs. Output 1, we could have XLRs or jack to the mixing desk, and then output 2, I could have the jack to the amp or to the FR-12 for monitoring on stage. All the way over on the right is the power input, and this uses a standard IEC kettle lead that you would normally use for an amp. It's got a nice sturdy power switch, and there's no chance of any power block or weird power adapter getting lost or broken. So I love the fact that Fender have included a power supply inside the unit. There's also a USB-C connection which you can use for firmware updates and recording. And currently there are 4 channels available. So I was using wet and wet left and right, and dry for the guitar and dry for the mic. And interestingly, next to the USB socket is a micro SD card slot. And it did nothing, and I can't find anything in the menu to access that SD card. So I'm guessing with a future firmware update that something will happen, maybe an extended looper or more presets, or most probably IR files. That's what it's probably for. Let's find out. Let me know in the comments section if I'm right about that. I think that'll be for storing IRs. Dummy. Right. We've also got headphones out and aux in. There's a Bluetooth connection as well for your phone, and earlier on I was playing some Bluetooth backing tracks through the Fender Tone Master Pro, and it was coming through here and also through the headphones. That's really useful, and again with those different outputs you could send guitar to the FR and backing tracks to the mixer. Then there's some connections for external switches. You've got up to 2 expression pedals, a toe switch, and an amp control for switching channels on your amp. Speaking of switching, there's also MIDI control, full in and out. And finally, there are 4 loops in which you can put stomp box pedals, and apparently they are fuzz friendly. Let's find out if that's true. So I've set up a new patch with just a Fender Deluxe Reverb. And I've got to say, it sounds exactly like the Fender Deluxe Tonemaster amp and a lot like my tube Fender Deluxe Reverb, so that's a great start. And down here I've got the Cornell Legacy Fuzz in the loop, so I need to add a loop. FX loop 1, confirm. There it is. Sounds like a great fuzz to me. All right, it does do fuzzes well. That means that I have now fallen in love with this just a little bit more. Now you might have noticed I've got an expression pedal plugged in just here, and it is just the standard Boss EV30 with no toe switch. So you can't switch the wah on and off with the pedal, but there is a Mission Engineering collaboration with Fender, and that does work with the Tonemaster Pro. This means that when I find the patch there, jailbreaking Lizzie, the wah is turned off. So I have to go in and unbypass it, enable it, and then it sounds like this. And I haven't messed around with the wah settings at all, but it's good to know that it works, and I would need one with a toe switch to make sure I can engage it. There's one more thing I want to show you. It's got trails when you change to a patch, which back in the 90s was just a pipe dream. So have a listen to this. So all the way through that bluesy passage, you could still hear that ambient underneath. And if I were to switch back to the ambient, I could do it again and jump between these 2 patches. That opens up a whole world for me of creativity that I haven't done before. And it, as a covers band player as well, it means that you can do certain parts that would otherwise get cut off. And this is going to remove a lot of frustration for me. Finally, I'm going to round up the review with some what I consider pros and what I consider cons. Firstly, the cons, the bad stuff. The screen is extremely shiny, and hopefully that's not going to be a problem on stage. You can change the brightness of the screen, that should help, but there might be available some third-party protector things on there. that could go over there and also be matte, so it would not reflect any of the shininess. Yeah, can you see it all shining all over the place? Also, these switches are a little close together, and I have massive feet, so that might be a problem for some people. And as a singer, I like to have my foot pedals far apart, so I know exactly which one I'm hitting. I will have to learn this. It's no more or no less than others. It just seems closer together on this for some reason. And finally, the touchscreen doesn't always accept what I want it to do. So I'm getting better at it, but I'm worried that with sweaty fingers, my big sausage things are not going to get recognized. So maybe Fender could implement some kind of screen sensitivity setting. That would be cool. But on to the good stuff, because I've had this thing less than 24 hours and already I'm jumping around through menus and controlling this thing. And I guess the biggest pro here is that I feel like I'm playing it and it's not limiting me. It's not saying, I can do this, but you have to figure out how I can do it. It's so intuitive. I love the screen. I love the buttons. I love the turny knobs. I think that Fender have taken a look, obviously, at the Line6 Helix and the Quad Cortex and taken some of the best parts of those two machines and put them in here. One setting that I love on this is if you go to foot switch, yeah, come on fingers, you go to their preset mode layout, you can actually change this to 3 effects over 3 pedals. So I've got my presets just here, and then I've got these effects within the presets just up there. A little bit like the Helix, is it snapshot mode or yeah, so that's really cool. They've implemented that well. So to choose my 2 favorite things about it is that it sounds great so far, and it's really simple to use. The things that I don't like, probably the fact that it's not doing that rock crunch as well as I'd like. But don't forget, we're on pre-release firmware, so I'm expecting Fender to fix that at some point. I'm absolutely going to be taking this on stage to use in my band with the FR-12, and I am fairly sure that I'm going to get a good sound pretty much instantly. I've tried using modelers on stage before, and I've often been scared of the menus and things, so I really like just having stomp boxes that I can see, the what you see is what you get approach. Fender have included a lot of power in this Tone Master Pro. This thing is unbelievably powerful. I haven't even scratched the surface of what it can do, and yet I'm not scared by it. So that should be really encouraging if you're looking to dip your toe into the world of powerful multi-effects. But here's the bottom line. The Fender Tone Master Pro, even though fantastic, is expensive. It is more expensive than the Helix, and it's about the same price, if not more expensive, than the Quad Cortex. It's a whole chunk of change, but if you have this ecosystem and Fender invest time and effort into bringing people into this ecosystem by making sure there's an easy-to-use tone exchange, lots and lots of updates for free, just like Line6 does with the Helix. The Helix is 8 years old, and back in its first year, it was great, but it's not as good as it is now. And if Fender can support this product for years and years to come, each time adding more free stuff, then they have a real winner on their hands. If not, it's still pretty good, but whether you go for it is another question. So I have to stop playing with this now because I have to edit this video to make sure you see it today for me, which is release day. Anytime you see this video, leave me a comment down below telling me what you think of the Tone Master Pro. Is it too expensive, or are these sounds and this intuitive design worth it? I want to know what you think. Let me know in that comments section. Also, there is a button right there which you can smash royally and it will subscribe you to the channel. There's also a button where you can join the channel and support me. Oh, there's also links to the product in the video description. Go and check out the actual pricing because I've probably said several things wrong here. See you, bye!